Tired. Oh snap, we live. Hey, what's up, SBC Next Gen? Sorry about that, I was dozing off. I had a long day yesterday. Yesterday, when I was driving on the road, I was going somewhere very important, and I'm sitting there driving, listening to my music, vibing out, having just a good day. And all of a sudden, I hear a and I'm looking like, what the heck is that? So I'm driving, and all of a sudden my car starts getting slower and slower, and I'm like, oh snap, I know I ain't got no flat tire. So I pull over, I get out, and I have a flat tire, and I immediately just got mad. I'm like, bro, I got plans, I got things to do, and I just got a flat tire. Like, come on. You ever have something happen to you, and you say like, why me, why now, and why this? Like, why me, why now, and why this? You be like, God, come on, like, out of all the people in the world, God, like, why me, and why now, and why this? Like, come on, God, like, come on. It couldn't have been the person next to me. Like, come on, please, God, just spare me this one solid. And that's how I was. I'm like, God, why me, why now, why this? And my tire's flat, and I'm instantly just mad and upset. I'm like, man, I have plans, I got things to do, and I have to call, the people to come change my tire, the tire people, because I didn't have a spare tire in my car because I used it the last time my tire got flat. So I have to call the people to come change the tire, and they had me on hold for like an hour, so I'm already upset. Then they had me listening to this, little goofy ringtone. I'm like, what the heck is this? Thing stuck in my head. I'm like, what is this? And after being on hold for like an hour, they tell me that, oh yeah, but it's gonna be like a while until we can get to you. I'm like, come on, dude, y'all just have me on hold for like an hour. He's like, no, bud, we're pretty backed up today. It's pretty serious. It's gonna be a while. So I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. So I'm sitting here just chilling, and my day is going by. I got to cancel my plans. And he said they were gonna take about an hour to get to me. They really took like 2.5 hours, and that made me even more mad. And to make a long story short, they end up changing my tire, and it comes time to pay them. And I'm already mad. I'm already upset. And my father ended up calling me and said, you need to calm down, like lose the attitude. Because if you have an attitude, you won't be able to think straight. If you have an attitude, you'll only make it worse. So you need to lose the attitude. And I heard him, but I wasn't trying to hear him. Your parents ever tell you something and you hear them, but you ain't trying to hear them. Like, I hear you, Dad. I hear you, Mom. I hear you, Grandma. I hear you, Grandpa. But I ain't trying to hear that right now. And I wasn't trying to hear that right now because I'm mad and I'm upset and I have an attitude. And when it comes time to pay, the guy, the tire was supposed to be really cheap. Because I have a membership with the company, so the tire is supposed to be really cheap. But the guy, he ended up putting double on it. I guess he tried to get over on me because I'm young. And when my dad said you're gonna miss something worse is gonna happen if you don't lose the attitude. And it was because I lost the attitude, I was able to realize that, okay, like, you charged me twice. You charged me for 2 tires and not 1 tire. And if I would have stayed mad and upset, I wouldn't have been able to notice that. And in this new sermon series, we are excited simply because we're talking about there is something among us. And in that moment, guess what was among me? Attitude. Attitude was among me. And with this new sermon series, Pastor Charles kicked it off last week. There is doubt among us. And this week, I'm talking about, guess what? There is what? Attitude among us. Because if I would have kept the attitude, I would have made my day worse than I already was getting. And because I was able to slow down and calm down, that's when I was able to handle the situation better. The more mad I got, the more worse I was off. When I was able to just calm down and control my attitude, that's when I was able to handle the situation better. And a lot of us find ourselves in situations like this. And with this new sermon series, there is Among Us, right? With this new sermon series, Among Us, we're talking about the video game that is popular amongst each other right now. And this video game, many of us know that there are a group of it's a multiplayer game where a group of people are on the ship, and among the group are some imposters. There are one or several imposters who sabotage and wreak havoc among the ship. And unless you figure out who these imposters are, then you can't blast off into your future. You can't blast off into your best self. And that's pretty much what the game is about, is that you have to figure out who these imposters are that are sabotaging and wreaking havoc amongst your ship. And when we're speaking in terms of a ship, we're talking about the terms of your mind, because there are imposters known as fear, doubt, discouragement, attitude, all those things that are wreaking havoc amongst your mind, that are stopping you, stopping me, and stopping us from blasting off into our future, from blasting off into this new year of 2021, our best selves. So that is why we chose this sermon series, Among Us. And with this title today, there is attitude among us. There is attitude among us. See, there's this quote that says, attitude, a bad attitude is like a flat tire. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere unless you change it. And I couldn't really do anything unless I changed my attitude, because I was mad now, I was upset. And if I didn't change my attitude, I would end up paying way more. So attitude is very important, because what is having a bad attitude? What is a bad attitude? Some of y'all like, I ain't got no bad attitude. I'm an angel. I ain't never had no bad attitude. My parents love me. And maybe that may be true. Maybe you don't have a bad attitude naturally, but sometimes situations come and we respond with the bad attitude. So maybe you may not start off with a bad attitude, but something can happen, and now you have a bad attitude for the rest of the day. And that's what happened to me. So some of y'all think, I ain't got no bad attitude. I don't be starting no drama. I don't be doing nothing. But whenever something happens to you, that's when you have a bad attitude. So the question is, do you know how to handle your attitude when bad things happen to you that you can't necessarily control? So having a bad attitude is the art of being trouble, looking for trouble, finding trouble, and always responding with trouble. Having a bad attitude is the art of being trouble, looking for trouble, finding trouble, and always responding with trouble. The art of being trouble. Sometimes a lot of us have a smart mouth. Sometimes a lot of us start some things. Sometimes your parents may ask you to go do something and you, I don't feel like it. Go ask the other sibling. Go ask them. You got to fix that going into 2021. We have to fix that, and that's being trouble. Why do you want to be trouble in your own home? You never want to do that. Looking for trouble. Sometimes, maybe, and I'm keeping it real, maybe you may be the instigator in some situations. Maybe it may be something small that happens in a group of friends, in your group of friends, and maybe you may be the one who always blowing it up out of proportion. Ooh, girl, she said that about your weave. Ooh, bro, he said that about your hairline, bro. He said your line got pushed back, bro. You gonna take that, bro? You gonna take that? And some of us do that, and that's a form of having attitude, a bad attitude. Some of us go finding trouble sometimes. So meaning that sometimes somebody could say something to you and you pop off. Oh, I know who you talking to. Who you talking to? What? And the thing is, that's not good, because anytime somebody says something to you, you always ready to be on go. You always ready to fight. You always ready to respond negatively. And sometimes you ain't got to worry about people. You ain't got to worry about the haters. You ain't got to worry about the people talking stuff. And sometimes we always respond with trouble. And this may be unintentionally, like what happened with me. I just wanted to get where I was going. But I responded with trouble because I got mad and I had a bad attitude. So some of us may not start off having a bad attitude, but like I said, when conflict comes to you, how do you handle that conflict? How do you handle that conflict. And the reason this is so important is because bad attitudes can stop us from being our best selves. Bad attitudes can stop you from getting to the college you want. Bad attitudes can stop you from having a good relationship with your parents. Do you understand how deep this is? Bad attitudes can stop you from having friendships, relationships, from having your dreams come true, from making things come true for your life, from being your best self. Did you know having a bad attitude can disqualify you from some things? And usually people who have bad attitudes usually end up alone because nobody want to deal with them. They usually end up bitter because they always salty about something. That they always end up woulda, coulda, shoulda. I wish I woulda. I wish I coulda. And I wish I shoulda instead. That's how people with bad attitudes 10 times out of 10 usually end up. And I'll give you an example. You ever heard of this guy? Probably not. This guy named, his name is Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel back in 2014, 2015 was like a college football star. This dude was like one of the best players in college football at the time. He was winning Heisman trophies, MVP trophies. He was that dude. He was that guy. But guess what? He had a bad what? You already know what it is. Attitude. He had a bad what? Say it again. Attitude. Because what happened was that, you know, after he had this college success, he got drafted and then he went into the NFL only for 1 year. And he kept getting into trouble. He kept getting into all types of different things off the field. He had a bad attitude. The coaches didn't want to deal with him. His teammates didn't want to deal with him. His own family stopped wanting to deal with him because he had a bad attitude everywhere he went. Everywhere he went. And guess what? He was projected to be one of the best NFL players of all time, but he ended up only playing 1 year in the NFL. And now he's playing amateur football somewhere that nobody really knows. But he's supposed to be in the NFL right now being one of the best players. But because he had a what? Bad attitude. He had a bad what? Attitude. And let me show you what having a bad attitude is like. Meaning, you can be talented. You can be good looking. You can be a great actress. You can be a good actor. You can have good grades. You can pass the SAT, the ACT. You can do all those things, and you can have such a future that's filled with so much possibility, that's filled with so much opportunity, a future that's filled with so much potential, look at this, filled with so much potential. But because you have a bad attitude, it could all go to waste. Just like that. Just like what happened to who? Johnny Manziel. And I want you to know that this thing about attitude is very important. Very important. Because if you can't get your attitude under wraps now, 10 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to get it under wraps in the future. So there is what? Attitude among us. There is attitude among us. I want you to stop right now. I want you to look up in the air and say, there is attitude among us. And a person we're going to be talking about very briefly today is Moses. A lot of us know the story of Moses. Moses, as I always say, was the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James, the star player of the Israelites. The Israelites was the covenant and chosen people by God, the team, but Moses was what? The star player, the team captain. Just like how a lot of us are the team captain for our cheer teams, how a lot of us are the team captain for our football teams, basketball teams, wrestling teams, etc., etc., etc. Moses was the team captain for the Israelites. And this point in particular in the Bible, Moses and the Israelites are on their way to their promised land. God told Moses and the Israelites that, hey, I got a promised land for y'all. I got this land that's like flowing with milk and honey, like that I want y'all to go to. And I want y'all to go there and live there like forever, ever. Forever, ever? Forever, ever. Moses was like, forever, ever? And God was like, forever, ever. But something happened that prevented Moses from being able to go to his promised land forever, ever. Say, forever, ever. Here's a story that takes place of Moses striking the rock. In Numbers chapter 20, verses 2 through 12, New Living Translation version, and the text reads, there was no water for the people to drink at the place, so they rebelled against Moses and his brother Aaron. The people blamed Moses and said, if we only had died in the Lord's presence with our brothers, bro. Why have you brought the congregation of the Lord's people into the wilderness to die, dude? Along with our livestock, dog. Why did you make us leave Egypt and bring us here to this terrible place, man? This land has no grain. It has no figs, no grapes, no pomegranates. And, bro, it ain't got no water to drink, bro. Moses and Aaron got mad. They turned away from the people and went to the entrance of the tabernacle where they fell face down on the ground. And then the glorious presence of the Lord appeared to them. And the Lord said to Moses, you and Aaron must take the staff and assemble the entire community. I just like making God's voice deep. As the people watch, speak to the rock over there. I'll say it again. As the people watch, speak to the rock over there. Speak to the rock over there, and it will pour out its water. You will provide enough water from the rock to satisfy the whole community and their livestock. So Moses did as he was told, and he took the staff from the place where it was kept before the Lord. Then he and Aaron summoned the people to come together at the rock. Moses was angry. Listen, you rebels, he shouted, must we bring you water from this rock? Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice. He struck the rock twice. He struck the rock twice with the staff, and water gushed out. So the entire community and the livestock drank the fill. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust me enough to demonstrate my holiness to the people of Israel, you will not lead them into the promised land I am giving to them. Numbers 20, verses 2 through 12, New Living Translation. Moses strikes the rock. So what happened here? Moses struck the rock after God told Moses to speak to the rock. So the Israelites found themselves in the wilderness, in the middle of pretty much the desert. And they was getting hungry, they was getting thirsty, and they like, Moses, like, we about to die, bro. We thirsty. We need something to eat. Even our animals getting tired, like, and they started to blame Moses and Aaron because Moses was the leader. And Aaron was like the co-captain. Moses was the captain, and Aaron, his brother, was the co-captain. It was like, all right, y'all are captains. We blaming y'all. Like y'all led us here, so we angry at y'all. And God told Moses that yes, he will provide water for the Israelites to be able to drink. And God said, speak to the rock. Don't strike the rock, but speak to the rock, and water will come out, and the Israelites will be able to drink. What happened was, Moses struck the rock. Moses basically said, I'm tired of y'all, bro, blaming me for everything. Dude, it ain't my fault. And God said, because you struck the rock, it didn't speak to the rock, you will not reach your promised land. Remember, the promised land flowing with what? Milk and honey. He said, you, Moses and Aaron, not going to the promised land because y'all struck the rock. And what happened, what this all boils down to, is that when we have attitude, because Moses had a bad attitude in this moment, it stops us from getting to the promised land of our dreams, our goals, our future. Anytime we have a bad attitude, just like Moses, in this moment, it stops us from getting to the future of what God has promised for us. And that is exactly what happened to Moses. That's exactly what happened to Moses. And I want you to know, I'm going to give you 3 quick points and then we'll close out, is that you have to not have bad attitude, because if we listen to these 3 points, then we'll be good. Listen to your instincts. That's the first point. Listen to your instincts. God told Moses to speak to the rock instead of striking the rock, but Moses said, you know what, he hit a home run on that rock. That man Moses said, knocked it out the park. He took the staff and struck the rock. But you have to listen to your instincts. That's the first point. Listen to your instincts. It says that God told Moses to speak to the rock and water will come out. And God speaks to us. Just as God spoke to Moses and told him to speak to the rock, God speaks to us within. And sometimes when you know you're not supposed to be doing something, your instincts will tell you. Your instincts will tell you not to get mad, or not to, because your mom or dad told you to come here. Not to, because they told you to cut the grass or take the trash out. Your instincts will tell you not to respond to certain things or not to do certain things. Your instincts will tell you, girl, you're going a little too far. Bruh, like, you need to calm down and chill. I think you're doing a little too much. Your instincts within will tell you. Listen to your instincts. If Moses would have listened to what was already being spoke to him within from God, Because God speaks to us within, then he would have never struck the rock and he would have been able to make it to his promised land. But because he struck the rock, he wasn't able to get to his promised land. So all of that hard work, just like the balloon, you remember, you can have all of that potential. You can have all of those great things. You can have all the straight A's. You can have high academic achievements. You can have all these scholarship offers for college sports. But the minute you have a bad attitude, pop, and everything can go away just like that. That's the first point. Listen to your instincts. The second point is you can't control everything. Moses was mad because of the Israelites. He said, then he summoned all the people to come together at the rock. Listen, you rebels. He called them rebels. Moses was mad because, mostly because the Israelites were blaming him and misbehaving, and they was flipping out. So Moses struck the rock because he was mad at the Israelites. And the thing is, you can't control everything. And a lot of us have bad attitudes because we're mad about the things we can't control. We're mad about the people we can't control. We're mad about the situations we can't control. And I'm going to get real for a second. Maybe our parents are splitting up. Maybe our parents are not seeing eye to eye. And it's causing us to have an attitude in school, an attitude in sports, an attitude with our friends. And I'm not saying that, and I hope things get better in your household, whoever I'm talking to. I hope things get better in your family. And you have to take that to God. You have to pray to God. And in fact, I'm going to stir away just for a little moment, simply because it says that Moses and Aaron turned away from the people and went to the entrance of the tabernacle, where they fell down on the ground. They fell down on the ground, which means they started to pray to God. And then the glorious presence of the Lord appeared to them. So if you have something in your life that you can't control, just as though Moses couldn't control the Israelites, and it said Moses and Aaron turned away from the Israelites and fell on the ground in front of and the Lord's presence appeared to them, you can do the same thing. If you have some things in your life that you can't control, that's okay. Turn away from being mad at that and give it to God. And I'm not saying it'll change overnight, but give it to God. Give it to God. If you're mad, if you're upset about COVID still being a thing and you're not being able to go to school with your friends, give it to God. Pray. Get on your knees, close your eyes, and pray to God. Because Moses' frustration came from what he realized he couldn't control. And a lot of us have attitudes because we can't control some things. And that's okay. We won't be able to control everything. Release yourself from the expectation of feeling like you have to control everything. All right, the first point was listen to your instincts. The second point was you can't control everything. And the third point is easy as peasy. Stop striking and start talking. Moses struck the rock and instead of talking to it. And a lot of us, when we have attitudes, we strike and we strike and we strike and we strike. A lot of us, when we have attitudes, we take it out on our parents. We take it out on the people next to us. We take it out on our friends. When a lot of us have an attitude, or when a lot of us are upset about something, we immediately start striking and striking. We push people away. We get mad at our little siblings. We get mean and we turn into a bad person. Start talking. Talk to your parents about what's going on. Talk to myself and Pastor Charles about what's going on. Stop striking and start talking about it. If you're upset about some different things that you're going through, see, a lot of times we have attitudes because it's sometimes underlying challenges that we go through. If you miss your friends, if you're upset about being in the house all day, talk to us. Talk to us. If you're not happy, maybe about your current state, physically, mentally, emotionally, talk to us. That's okay. Talk to us. Stop striking and start talking. A bomb goes off not because what's on the outside, but because what's on the inside. And when it goes off, it destroys everything closest to it the most. A bomb goes off not because what's on the outside, but because what's on the inside. And when it goes off, it destroys everything closest to it the most. So stop striking and start talking. Remember the 3 points. Listen to your instincts. You can't control everything. And stop striking and start talking. There is attitude among us. But if you listen to these 3 points and apply these 3 points to your life, there will no longer be attitude among us. You all take care and be blessed. See you all next week for week 3 of Among Us. We out.